Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel, Olden Goldens. In today's video, we'll be remembering American celebrities who have recently passed away, along with other notable figures from around the world. Before we begin, we'd really appreciate it if you could show your support by giving this video a like. It truly means a lot to us. French actor Michel Blanc, best known for his roles in Le Splendid Troupe comedy films like the 1978 cult classic Les Bronzes and its subsequent 1979 and 2006 sequels, died early, October 4th at 72, of a heart attack following anaphylactic shock, per the Agence France-Presse. A fixture in French cinema, his death was mourned by President Emmanuel Macron, who wrote on X, "He made us cry with laughter and moved us to tears. A monument of French cinema, Michel Blanc is gone. Our thoughts go out to his loved ones and his acting accomplices." The French Minister of Culture, Rachida Dati, added in a statement, "This morning the sorrow is immense, as great as his talent." In front of the camera of Bertrand Blier, Robert Altman, or Pierre Schoeller, Michel Blanc amazed us with the variety of his acting, but also with his talents as a director with films like Marché à l'ombre or Grosse Fatigue. Cinema, the world of culture, and all French people will not forget him. In addition to memorably portraying Jean-Claude Duss in the satirical film Bronzes, which he co-wrote as part of the Café Theatre Company, he founded alongside childhood friends Christian Clavier, Gérard Jugnot, and Thierry Lhermitte. He was in L'Exercice de l'État, the thriller drama for which he won a Best Supporting Actor César Award, the equivalent of the Oscar in France. In addition to comedic roles, Blanc was known for dramatic portrayals with 1989's Monsieur Here and 2007's Les Témoins, about a close-knit friend group that is impacted by the AIDS epidemic in 1980s Paris. Other notable accolades include his 1986 Best Actor win at the Cannes Film Festival for his starring role in Ténues de Soirée. He also won the Fest's Best Screenplay Award with Grosse Fatigue, a film he starred in, co-wrote, and directed, which was also nominated for the coveted Palme d'Or. Occasionally, Blanc crossed over into Hollywood, starring opposite the likes of Jerry Lewis, Jeff Goldblum, and Helen Mirren. A multi-hyphenate, Blanc was also a prolific filmmaker and screenwriter, garnering several César nominations, including for Best Screenplay twice for Dead, Tired, and Summer Things. Marché à l'ombre, another 80s French comedy staple, was also co-written and directed by star Blanc, who received a César nom for Best First Work. In 2021, The Splendid Troupe received the Anniversary César Award. "Very often, I like to play characters that touch me one way or the other," he said in an interview conducted last year, adding, "I am fortunate that people have asked me to play interesting characters and that I had the possibility, or the talent, whatever that may be, to portray them. So it's a mixture. It gets you nowhere if you're very lucky, but don't know how to play your character. And if you're an incredible actor who only gets small or insignificant roles, you're also stuck. In the end, it's a combination of circumstances and luck." Blanc remained active in the film industry up until his death. Two films in which he starred, Le Routard and La Cache, are slated for release next year. Ethel Kennedy, the widow of Attorney General in New York. Robert Kennedy died Thursday of stroke complications. A political force unto herself, the sister-in-law of President John Kennedy and mother of 11 children, was 96. The family revealed on October 8th that Ethel Kennedy had suffered a stroke in her sleep on October 3rd at her Cape Cod home and had been taken to a hospital. Her daughter, Carrie Kennedy, announced the news on social media. Having survived her husband by 56 years, the family matriarch went on to form the Robert Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights in the months following the then presidential candidate's assassination in 1968 in Los Angeles. Respected and beloved by generations of Americans and many others around the world, Ethel Kennedy was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama in 2014. "You don't mess with Ethel," President Obama noted at the White House ceremony to laughter, adding on a more serious note that Kennedy's love of family is matched only by her devotion to her nation. Born on April 11th, 1928 in Chicago, the daughter of Great Lakes Carbon Corporation co-founder and coal mogul George Skakel, met the third eldest son of Joe and Rose Kennedy on a family skiing trip in Canada in 1945 via her college roommate and RFK sibling, Gene Kennedy. At the time, Bobby, as his family and friends called RFK, was dating Ethel's sister Patricia. Soon after the two met, RFK was dating Ethel. While the couple waited 5 years to get engaged, they were married in less than 6 months on June 17, 1950 in Greenwich. Not long after that, as his older brother Jack moved into national politics, Bobby followed and moved his burgeoning family to Washington, D.C. An active participant in JFK's successful 1960 bid for the White House, Bobby's 1964 senatorial run, as well as other family campaigns, Ethel was a strong advocate for her husband seeking the Democratic nomination for president in 1968. More than 3 months pregnant at the time, Ethel was not with RFK celebrating his victory in the California primary on June 5, 1968, at the now demolished Ambassador Hotel in LA, when her husband was fatally shot. However, she was by his side in the hospital when the 42-year-old senator died from his wounds more than a day later. The Kennedy family has been portrayed in countless films, TV series, and stage performances, and Ethel appeared as herself in a 1982 episode of Cheers. RFK and Ethel's youngest daughter, documentarian Rory Kennedy, turned the camera on her mother and her life in Ethel, which premiered at the 2012 Sundance Film Festival. Ethel and Robert Kennedy had 11 children, with sons David and Michael passing away in 1984 and 1997, respectively. Along with Emmy-winning filmmaker Rory, Ethel Kennedy is survived by her other offspring, former independent presidential candidate Robert Kennedy, Kathleen Hardington, Kennedy Townsend, Joseph Patrick Kennedy II, Courtney Kennedy Hill, Mary Carey Kennedy, Christopher George Kennedy, Matthew Maxwell Taylor Kennedy, and Douglas Harriman Kennedy, as well their children and grandchildren. Cissy Houston, the two-time Grammy-winning gospel singer, mother of the late Whitney Houston and backup singer for acts ranging from Elvis Presley and Aretha Franklin to Jimi Hendrix, Paul Simon, and Luther Vandross, died today of Alzheimer's disease complications at her home in New Jersey. She was 91. Her death was announced by her family. In our time of deep sorrow, we announce the passing of Emily Cissy Houston, who transitioned today, Monday, October 7th, at 10:30 a.m. ET at her home in Newark, New Jersey, while under hospice care for Alzheimer's disease, said the family statement obtained by Deadline. Houston was born Emily Drinkard on September 30th, 1933, in Newark. The youngest of 8 children, she launched her singing career in 1938, when she joined her sister Anne and brothers Larry and Nicky to form the gospel group the Drinkard Four. More famously, Houston was a member of the Sweet Inspirations, an R&B group that throughout the 1960s provided backup vocals for some of the most popular and celebrated musicians of the day, including Presley, Solomon Burke, Wilson Pickett, and in 1967 for Van Morrison. The Sweet Inspirations can be heard singing behind Morrison on his classic Brown-Eyed Girl. Other prominent collaborations of the era include the Inspirations singing for Hendrix on his song Burning of the Midnight Lamp, the Bee Gees on To Love Somebody, and behind Dusty Springfield on the 1969 album Dusty in Memphis, and its classic single Son of a Preacher Man, which is featured in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. The Sweet Inspirations also recorded albums of their own, and in 1969, Houston struck out on her own, recording solo albums, as well as doing session work as a backup singer for Bette Midler on 1972's The Divine Miss M and Linda Ronstadt's 1975 chart topper, Heart Like a Wheel, among many others. In addition to her pop career, Houston was one of the foremost gospel singers of her generation, earning a Grammy in 1996 for her album Face to Face and a second Grammy in 1998 for her album He Leadeth Me. For more than a half-century, she was the minister of music at Newark's New Hope Baptist Church. Houston also frequently collaborated with her equally celebrated family members, including niece Dionne Warwick and, of course, daughter Whitney. One of those collaborations, 2006's Family First, was included on the soundtrack for the film Daddy's Little Girls. In 2012, Houston performed Paul Simon's Bridge Over Troubled Water as a tribute to her late daughter Whitney at the BET Music Awards. Whitney Houston, one of the most successful and acclaimed singers of the late 20th century, died in 2012 at 48. Our hearts are filled with pain and sadness. We lost the matriarch of our family, her daughter-in-law Pat Houston added in the family statement. Mother Cissy has been a strong and towering figure in our lives, a woman of deep faith and conviction who cared greatly about family, ministry, and community. Her more than 7-decade career in music and entertainment will remain at the forefront of our hearts. Her contributions to popular music and culture are unparalleled. We are blessed and grateful that God allowed her to spend so many years with us, and we are thankful for all the many valuable life lessons that she taught us. Today's family statement concludes, "May she rest in peace alongside her daughter Whitney and granddaughter Bobby Christina and other cherished family members." On behalf of the Houston family, we are touched by your generous support and your outpouring of love during our profound time of grief. We respectfully request our privacy during this difficult time.
French acting star Alain Delon, whose many iconic roles included Le Samouraï, Plein Soleil, and The Leopard, has died in France at the age of 88. The actor's children said in a statement that their father had passed away in the early hours of Sunday, surrounded by his family and beloved Belgian shepherd Lubo, in his longtime chateau home in the village of Douchy, in the Le Loiret region, some 100 miles south of Paris. Delon's death marks the passing of one of the last surviving icons of the French cinema scene of the 1960s and 70s, when the country was on an economic roll as it reconstructed in the wake of World War II. The star, who was at the peak of this career from the 1960s to the 1980s, fell into acting by chance. Born on November 8, 1935 in the Paris suburb of Sceaux, he had a turbulent childhood after his parents divorced when he was still young. After training briefly as a butcher in his stepfather's business, he entered military school at the age of 17. After being caught stealing equipment, he was given the choice of expulsion or signing up for a tour of duty in Southeast Asia. Delon fought in the Battle of Dien Bien Phu in 1954, but wound up in trouble again after he crashed a Jeep he had stolen and returned to France in 1956. Having moved to Paris, where he did odd jobs to make ends meet, Delon got his first introduction to the cinema world through his relationship with actress Brigitte Aubert, who had recently appeared in Alfred Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief. After they hooked up, she took him to the Cannes Film Festival in 1957, where he met the actor and director Jean-Claude Brialy, as well as his future agent Georges Baume. "I came down with a girl that I liked, who loved me. I took it all in, did the red carpet, but even then, I felt at home. Not least, and I say this without pretension, because it was made clear to me that I was not bad looking," he told a Cannes masterclass in 2019. His next big break came via the actress Michel Cordu, with whom he had an affair. She convinced her husband, director Yves Allégret, to give him a small role in his film Quand la femme s'en mêle. Delon was candid about the role women had played in his early career. "If I hadn't met the women I met, I would have died long ago. It's the women, I don't know why, who loved me, who got me into this profession, who wanted me to do it, and who fought for me to do it," he told a masterclass at the Cannes Film Festival in 2019. His career took off quickly from there, with Delon then appearing in Marc Allégret's Sois belle et tais-toi, which also featured Jean-Paul Belmondo in the cast, followed by Pierre Gaspard Huit's Christine, which would see Delon appear opposite Romy Schneider. Breaking news of the day.
Peter Dinklage, celebrated worldwide for his portrayal of Tyrion Lannister on HBO's Game of Thrones, has opened up about the daily realities of living with achondroplasia, a form of dwarfism that affects roughly 1 in 40,000 people. Standing at 4'5", the 55-year-old actor has faced constant stares and misunderstandings throughout his life, but has turned these experiences into a platform for advocacy and awareness. "Being my size, I get second looks quite often," Dinklage shared. "It's something I've dealt with my whole life." Despite undergoing leg surgery at the age of 5, Dinklage has embraced his stature and frequently uses humor to deflect the attention he receives. He also criticized Hollywood's portrayal of dwarfism, notably calling out Disney's live-action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs for relying on outdated stereotypes. "There's a lot of hypocrisy going on," he said, urging the industry to move away from limiting portrayals of individuals with dwarfism. Achondroplasia is a genetic condition that affects bone growth, leading to shorter limbs and other physical challenges. Despite these obstacles, Dinklage's impactful career and outspoken advocacy continue to challenge societal norms and inspire millions. Jamie Lee Curtis recently celebrated a significant milestone, 25 years of sobriety. Reflecting on her journey and the lessons she's learned along the way, she shared a heartfelt Instagram post writing 9,125 days, one day at a time. In the post, Curtis, 65, included a photo of herself holding a ring inscribed with JLC 25. Curtis has been open about her battle with addiction, which began in the late 1980s due to a dependency on opiates after being prescribed painkillers. In her message, she offered words of encouragement to others facing similar struggles, saying, "For all those struggling with addiction and shame, there are others out here who care. My hand in yours, our hands in yours." The actress, who won her first Academy Award in 2023 for her role in Everything Everywhere All at Once, also discussed the importance of self-acceptance. In an interview with Hoda Kotb on Today, she noted, "People aren't pleased when you stop people-pleasing." Curtis emphasized the need to fully embrace one's identity, adding, "We have to be in full acceptance of who we are." Now, 25 years sober, Curtis continues to be a powerful advocate for authenticity, resilience, and self-compassion.